Hello.
Hello.
All right, it looks like you're being picked up.
Oh, by who?
And I have access to stream chat here, it looks like, so I should be able to check in and notice anything fun going on.
Let me open up the stream just to double check.
We're talking and stuff. Make sure you talk a little bit too.
Test.
Wonderful of you to join us.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky.
I'll probably nod off halfway through the stream, and that's why I'm not hosting it, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Cyber confirms things are working out.
Oh, is there actually a chat? I should probably look at the chat. But, yeah. So did you get the spreadsheet?
Yep. I'm going to ping GP. All right, so people will still probably continue to filter in. Good to have people as they join. But for now, let's start talking about the list. So first off, we have Styles, who's on Tropic Thunder. Oh, I can't edit anything.
Wait.
Damn. This looks like pretty stock Tropic Thunder to me. Breach the Lilies is the only thing that I don't know if it's 100% standard.
Wait, what are they running?
Breach the Lilies.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was sort of standard and then got nerfed, but it's probably still decent.
I didn't know how stock that was.
I mean, before it got nerfed, I think you definitely want to run it because it does what you want.
1 or 2 GPs before it got nerfed, so.
Yeah. So can you edit the spreadsheet now? Okay, yeah, you can.
So I think in terms of spiciness, this is not very spicy.
I agree.
I'm used to Tropic
One chili pepper,
and I also am basically never ever rooting for them.
Yeah.
Which, feel a little bit bad about that, but that's just the way it goes. In terms of like raw power level, I don't actually know how well this deck is necessarily positioned. It's not like that threat dense. It's pretty bad at handling multiple threats at once, except via Thunder Roads. But also, again, there's only so bad that a Cane Dancer, Bounty of the Gardens, actually, wait, this deck isn't on Portal Fracture, is it? Am I just missing
Wait, what?
No, because it's on script, so it's on diffuse.
Right, but it's on Cursory Glance over Portal Fracture. That feels wrong, right?
I think they said they wanted to, if I remember right, they mentioned something about control, and someone recommended Cursory Glance for the
for control matchups.
How's that have control?
So it counters their
script is kind of control leaning.
It does mean that if you're expecting your opponent to hit their land drops and you're not going to close out the game, it's a better answer. But there's just so many 4 and 5 drop threats running around. I just feel really bad about registering Cursory Glance. So I think that's the first thing I'd flag about this deck is a little bit sus to me. I recognize this is a 22 land deck with 4 Shugenja's Sanctuary, but still it's a control deck that doesn't play Monument of Queens, and I think that's always dubious. I also recognize it's a Thunder Road deck, but like Monument of Queens is really fucked up, y'all. But yeah, I mean, this deck has a couple different powerful packages in it. I think it'll be fine.
Wait a minute, is it not running that 1-mana draw?
It's running Secrets of Coralight Core in the sideboard.
It's running 2 of them on the board.
I don't actually think you need to play, like, I was not that impressed with Secrets in my time playing these sorts of shells.
Alright.
And Petra requested we say who's who, so for anyone who was not around at the start, I'm Pipsqueak.
How many people are in chat right now?
We have several.
That's way more than I had when I was streaming.
I'm just a cooler person, I guess.
I'm Dr. Batman. Hello.
And I'm Ricky, the only guy who's actually making MSEM content for a while.
So true.
But I think I'm probably going to retire soon, so someone else please pick up the torch, because otherwise there's not going to be any records of MSEM.
All right.
We already went through a dark age. We don't want to go through another one.
So
but yeah.
The next list we have is... Oh, it's a reinvent deck. I always love seeing reinvent be playable. And the reinvent targets Ethereum Leviathan for the Cheerios loop. Okay, sure. Like, yeah, this deck seems fairly powerful. I think it's a little bit one-dimensional. Like, it doesn't really have the ability to grind in any capacity. It's just trying to kind of linear the fuck out of people.
Yeah, but
it does have Express Line plus Zealot, which is always an interaction I love. But
it's got stuff going on, and
Jade Temple.
Yes, Jade Temple.
Jade Temple Mana Potion. I see.
Not as good as,
Well,
J
J
Temple.
Temple.
That was
Yeah.
broken, but yeah,
Interesting.
J Temple Mana
like-
Potion still a thing.
Board in
So what's
Promethean
the-
Grottos.
What's the loop here? You loop Cheerios with Ethereum Leviathan, and what's the
You
deal with
generate an arbitrary amount of 1/1s with Union Rail Strikebreaker that you can then use to one-shot people with Observer of Eons.
Yeah, and use Cinderblade for haste.
Yeah. But it doesn't. I don't know. This doesn't seem like an insane Cheerios combo deck. I think this deck is probably going to get more wins on the back of its just reinvent for a beat stick plan than actually Cheeriosing people.
Mindbreak Artisan. This is not a card I have seen before.
Yeah, this is an oldie but a goldie. Mostly you run it as a tutor, but every so often you're going to win a game off of it, mind controlling people.
Oh yeah, it turns all of your artifacts into Vidalcan shackles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Cyber is saying stuff in chat. Deck is really good, apparently. Okay. Well, does Cyber have experience with that deck?
I assume playing against it in a recent league or something. So I'm willing to give this 3 peppers. I always like seeing people explore combo artifact decks that aren't trying to cast their entire library, but are instead trying to cast a dedicated subsection of their library.
I'm gonna have to give this a 2 chili peppers because I've seen this before. And
That's fair.
I'll give it 4 for the Vidalcan shackle guy.
One other thing that's kind of neat about this deck, what matchup do you board in the Promethean Grottos in, you think?
No idea. Do you board against control?
It's not the worst. It just doesn't seem that good.
They're extra lands, I guess, in case you want to go up land in the control matchup or something.
Probably versus tempo, where hitting your first 3 land drops really matters. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, also, I guess we're not filling out the rankings right now, so what's the ranking for Tropic Thunder?
Oh, right.
7?
I think actually a 6. I don't really like how it's positioned right now.
I would give it a 5. Script and Thunder don't exactly play the nicest together, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's just average it then.
Okay. I think Reinvent's in a similar spot. I could change my mind if there's not a lot of answers for the kinds of broken things that this deck is doing. I'm a lot higher on it, but I think that its powerful linear plan is not actually that fast. So I think probably a 5.
All right. So
No objection.
moving on.
Sweet.
Wait.
A living blank. A little blank is on a 0 deck.
It's this deck.
Oh, it's this deck. Yeah, I was actually pretty low on this deck the last time I played against him. On the other hand, now the deck runs Infectious Ego. I can't remember if it did before. And I think being a deck where you're running 3 Infectious Ego, 3 Chi-Gao is actually just suddenly something that makes your deck playable.
Why are you only running 3 Infectious Egos? You should be running all 4.
I agree. I think the 4th Infectious Ego should be here. Hollow Duet is kind of sweet in this list. I like being able to attack with your Dovin's Masterwork to recur an Infectious Ego. That's sweet.
Wait, Dovin does have Defender?
Nope, it's just a 0/4.
So you can attack people with a tree.
I'm a little bit surprised it's not running. What is it called? It's clawing something.
Clawing
Shaman,
Horrors?
Clawing Abomination. It's the
Oh.
one that when you reanimate it, it reanimates your entire graveyard.
Yeah, that.
I don't know. I think this deck is actually pretty cool. I always like these self-mill reanimator combo-y decks. I think this deck having a fair game plan actually makes me way higher on it. I'd probably be around a 6 for this deck, just because I think you have a kind of fragile game 1, but also even when you're fragile, sometimes you just Infectious Ego people into the dirt. I wish it was a little bit closer to playing the mid-range game. I think if these Conspiracy of Ravens were 4x Valdez, this deck would be so much better. I guess
Really?
Conspiracy of Ravens is nice for Beck in the Dam to recur it.
Well, you'd rather Beckon land, though, right?
That's true.
So you can get a 4-drop off it, too. But I guess
This
a
deck only
3-drop
has
plus.
4... That can't be right. 4 Wayfarer Shrines is definitely not right. You want to also have the black-green Shock Fetch.
Yeah.
And
They're
no
on-
discard in the sideboard. I think I'm down to a 6.
Starlight Beacon's interesting.
Yeah, Starlight Beacon is part of the 0 combo. Any 4
Oh,
power
I get it
creature-
now.
Yeah, so Undead Banneret plus 0 plus a Starlight Beacon kills your opponent.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think Chi-Gao's a really cool pick for this deck in terms of your ability to mill over creatures and then play a Chi-Gao to draw them. I don't know. I think I just want to like this deck more than I actually do. I think some of the details are a little bit off, but given that this deck was made in 30 minutes, I can understand why it's like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give it 3 chili peppers, too. Because you're trying to run that combo again. you tried to run it before, it didn't work. I remember you lost the game because you got horribly mana screwed because you bought the wrong land or something.
Yeah, I played against it.
Oh yeah, was it that game? Oh, I
Yeah.
remember. Ah,
I've got to run more. I'll discard. Oh, red market with the 2/2 and 3/3 triggers. What am I missing? I have really bad news, which is Chigao does not work with Deadwood Terror and Chantwood Channeler because those are then entering the battlefield from the stack, not from the graveyard.
okay. I wasn't thinking about that.
Unfortunate.
Glad you know now, but yeah, wait. So this deck only has 4 ways to beckon back. Oh, sorry. It has 8 ways to plus 2 Hollow Duels. Okay, yeah, 10 ways. That's plenty of ways to get the special effect. Yeah, 10 ways of triggering it is like not the worst. I think you're probably in a fine spot.
Triggering what?
Chantwood Channeler and Deadwood Terror.
Hollow Duet doesn't trigger them, right? Because it's also a cast.
Wait, is that a cast? Oh my god. Okay, so 8 ways of doing it. 8 ways of doing it.
So beckon.
Yeah,
And
Beckon
what?
and Leyline Invoker.
Okay.
Plus,
Sure.
in the sideboard, Descend on Cormoran doesn't recur them. That's kind of awkward. Anyway, Anna the Quiets. So Anna's back. Good to see them back. This deck is a repeat of a past deck, which is like basically it's just blue-black villainy. There's some villainies, there's some Balls Descents. We have Bitter Ducklings in the sideboard. Main deck, it's just a bunch of efficiently costed kill spells, self-mill spells, and drain spells.
All right.
22 lands is low. I would not be shocked if Anna loses some number of games just to not drawing enough lands. There's a reason why when I'm playing control decks, 23 is basically the lowest land count I will go in. And Anna, on top of that, is playing 2 Unlit Alleys, 4 Murky Peats, and just a bunch of pain lands. This is a very painful mana base for a 2-color deck. But I think this deck has like plenty of good answers and has some pretty solid main deck threats. So
When was this deck last updated?
this deck was explicitly not updated for this GP, and it did not want to
Okay,
have to
yeah,
go
'cause-
through a bunch of new cards.
This deck should be running Valdez, I feel like.
Yeah, I think this deck is a strong Valdez deck, but I also don't feel like it is in a bad spot because it doesn't have Valdez. I agree it's worse than it could be.
I
Yeah.
say 1 chili pepper because villainy is such a hallmark of the format, but ranking I give it like a 6 or 6.5.
One chili pepper because this deck's outdated by I don't know how many months.
So I'm giving it 2 chili peppers just because while villainy is like a hallmark of the format, it just doesn't show up that often compared to how much of its like iconic status exists. So anytime someone actually is like, you know what, no, screw it, I'm going to bring villainy, I do have to give that credit. All right, Asti is on. This is just like the Esper Hyper Flyer aggro, right? Yeah.
Is it still running Duke Gerard Gelf? I mean,
Yeah,
Duke
Gerald Hoff.
Gerard.
It is, but now it's also running Tranquil Path.
Holy crap! He's not even running Tranquil Path, and
He is running 3 Tranquil
Griffin
Path.
Country.
3 Tranquil Path.
I mean, yeah, of course you do that, but like, you should be cutting Griffin Country at this point for a Farwine Guardians or with something.
I don't think that's incorrect. I also think there's a good chance. Like, this deck has a lot of anthems.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's probably fine. The fact it's running a 1/3 split of Nebula of Empty Gold Arts, however, is an actual crime. Like, what is your damage that makes you do this?
2, because that's how much you're paying off Nebula most of the time. I guess you have to pay 3 sometime for Duke, but, you know.
Yeah.
You can probably get your other colors from your duels.
Yeah. I think this deck is, like, solid. I think it is a fine way of linearing people.
Wait, it's only running 2 Crossing Fogs the main board?
I think that's
be
fine.
running all 4?
I don't necessarily think so. Like, I think anytime you take mana off in ways that don't increase your clock, you're making certain matchups worse. There are some matchups where just having more cards will win you those games, but there's a lot of matchups where you just need bodies on the board.
Okay.
I do think running no interaction game 1 is like a choice TM, and I'm not certain it's a choice I like. But I think it makes sense logically.
Okay, I'll give it 2 chili peppers because... Actually, no, I'll give it 1 chili pepper. It's the same deck. No, I'll give it 2 because Tranquil Path. Like, you've actually taken our suggestions for once.
I give
fine.
it 1 because they've been kind of iterating on it and making it... Like, they've put a lot of work into this deck, which means its spiciness has gone down because it's a known quantity, I suppose.
I think it's also a 5-star or a 5 ranking deck. Like, I don't think it is. This is not a deck that I look and I'm like, yes, this is going to win a GP. I think you can run hot. I think you can top 8. but I think the odds are against you in that you will eventually run into a matchup where your opponent has a board wipe and suddenly your deck does nothing.
Yeah.
All right, Crush.
What's Castle on?
It looks like we are on mono red.
Ninja Red. It's not burn. It's Ninja Red. Holy
Yeah.
crap! That's like a deck that nobody has played for quite a while. Except it's not actually Ninja Red because it's not running Rattler, which you really should be doing.
I think Rattler is the only big miss in this deck, though. Like, I think this deck is actually really sweet. I like running Civ's Cost as a cult shot. I don't think it's going to pay off because so many of our 5-color decks are really heavy on, like, basic lands. But I think Civ's Cost being a card you don't mind discarding is pretty sweet. And I also think the fact that this deck gets to take advantage of Fire Hearth Halls is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Wait, it's running Mystery. Okay, so it's not like traditional Ninja
It's
Red.
only on 2 Ninjaseer's March, even. This
Yeah,
this
okay.
deck
It's only
kinda-
on 20 lands. That makes sense.
This deck kind of fucks.
So it's not Ninja Red. It's more like burn, but slightly bigger, but like not actually as big as
Yeah,
Ninja
it's
Red.
because it is absolutely a control deck. Like, it is not a burn deck. I think this is going to win games via controlling the board state. I think you only really point burn spells at face once you're like ahead by a lot or versus control decks. And I think through that lens, I don't know. I think my main issue with this deck is it doesn't have enough draw engines. So I think it's going to top deck a lot after it dumps its load, and I think it top decks mediocrely. On the other hand, it's running 20 lands, and 4 of those lands are like decent creature lands. So it's pretty hard for this deck to not top deck gas.
And also because Ninja Red also has a bunch of stuff to flashes back from yard, which is how they keep going after the first round.
The fact that this deck isn't running, what is it called? Approaching Flames?
Yeah, that one. The Memento one. What was it called again? Yeah.
The Flames Approach
Yeah, thank you.
turns into a. You can flash it back for 5 mana for the burn, and then a 3/3 menace that also
Burns.
spikes for 3.
Yeah, I think this deck basically could use some tuning, but I think there's like a really solid like plan here, and I think the deck is entirely reasonable. All right. I actually give that deck like a 6. I think it lines up pretty well into the like pile of counter magic decks that exist. And I think
Its cost, if especially.
yeah, Civ's Cost works great. Roger's Frenzy works great. This deck has the ability to play a cheap threat, like Mystery of the Crashcraft, and it just has the ability to constantly have more burn spells. I don't know. I think that I actually like this deck's chances more than a lot of the ones we liked it. All right,
Okay.
Cyber Chronometer.
I'll give
is-
it this.
It's the
Yeah.
pig list.
Yeah, Artilis Abzan is a reference for any of the people here who are not sufficiently boomer to the first Pro Tour where Cyber Chronometer won it on a Abzan Artie midrange that used old Artie Study, which was a broken card. And this deck is using Tower Over the Sky as a 2-mana double rampant growth. 3-mana double rampant growth, which is pretty sweet. It's also neat because Cyber designed Tower Over the Sky, so this is kind of the sins of the format coming back. But this deck is just like, it's kind of a meta pile. It's running a bunch of really fucked up cards and just like the ability to generate value over time.
I love Bahum's Penance.
Bahum's Penance is such a good card. I think this card like stopped seeing play, and I have no reason why. It was a huge deal like back in the day TM.
Maybe people just found better card draw, like, Dreamsight well.
It's a little bit on the expensive side, but when it hits like a freight train.
I think 3-mana draw 4 gain like 12 life is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, but you have to discard your hand, so people aren't trying to
Yeah.
run it in like decks that you build up your hand in.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Yeah,
no-
they're on a bunch of Revelations, so it makes sense.
Yeah. And also sideboard Shigao's sideboard brutality is kind of whack, but yep, deck seems really sweet. I give this a 4 peppers. Actually, no, 5 peppers.
4 peppers because I've already seen purple with this deck.
Yeah. I
5
also
peppers for.
Or no, it's not purple's deck. It's like no, I already
Hersey's
played
deck.
Against the second league.
yeah.
Actually, yeah, it wrecked me. I'll give it 5.
I'm gonna give it 6 rating. I think it has a couple of issues. Like this deck has a bad matchup into a lot of the nonsense in the format, but I think versus most fair things, it's in a good spot. And I don't think it has play versus the nonsense decks.
Yeah.
Datacorn is on it looks like, is it just green black?
Abzan Pressure.
Yeah.
Where's the white? Is it
Yeah,
just for
just-
Endless
sideboard
Helpless
cards?
Holds.
Oh, I didn't see Endless Helpless Souls. There we go. Okay, yeah. I think Long
Yeah.
Forgotten's a pretty sweet card. I'm kind of I guess it's a card advantage engine at 2 mana, so that's kind of why you play it. I am pretty confident this deck does not have enough win cons.
It's like
Really, I mean,
Abzan mid-range ish.
Yeah, like except it's not that proactive.
your win con is just, I guess, beating them down with the need for Mech Bruisers or something.
Yeah, you have three
No, you have
bidding
epic
for
encounters.
you have okay, so you have three epic encounters which can find a bunch of like okay win cons, but like not great ones. Also, this is a Heart of Zadina deck where
Yeah, you have
you're
Shikyu champion. Like that's your win con.
I don't respect that as a win con in a mid range deck. I'm sorry. You
You
need
have Heart
like
of Zadina.
you need like 7 lands.
Well, you're gonna get there eventually.
I don't know. It does run Monument of Queens, which I think is pretty sweet, but I think Heart of Zadina and Monument of Queens in a deck where you're milling yourself a bunch and all your things that recur cards from graveyard don't recur lands is kind of sus. And I think your win con being Muck Bruisers, which are much worse win cons the more removal your opponent has, and like the game plan of I'm going to coalesce Endless Helpless Souls, like I am pretty low on this deck. I think it's
Well,
reasonably spicy. Like I like control decks playing with the Endless Helpless Souls engine. I just don't think it's that good.
I give it 4 peppers for spicy but untuned.
it's also running 3 standalone syllables in the main board, just so
That's
you know how much Gallo hates Burn.
I think that's smart, and more decks should respect Burn.
Yeah, but standalone syllables in the main board.
Yep, fuck him.
Sure, I guess.
Dead Cats on Grixis.
Yep, Dead Cat is a fairly new player and a Legacy
Judge
Grixis
already.
aficionado. And I think this
Oh.
deck really shows it. I personally am a huge fan of seeing 2 main deck Monument of Queens. I think that shows
Wait,
you know what
what?
this format's about. I'm just gonna tell you guys, if I was in this GP and I was playing control deck and I sat down across from this deck, I would just look and just immediately scoop. Like I am not I don't want to win as much as my opponent who registered 2 copies of Monument of Queens. They want the control mirror more than me. They can have it. I'm good. We're fine. There's some number issues in this deck, in my opinion. But I'm really excited to see a legacy player in this format and actually fucking around with our insane level cantrips. I think that's something that's really underdeveloped is using cantrips in fair decks in MSEM.
This does have legacy player ratios for what it just
Yeah.
has that vibe.
I think 2
But-
Cosmic Sinkholes like one of the most questionable parts of this deck.
But yeah, welcome Dead Cat to the format and enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I should probably rate this thing. It's a control deck, so
So
three chili peppers.
I think 3 chili peppers is like probably the correct amount because while this is a control deck, it doesn't fit neatly into any of like the established control things, and it's very clearly a control deck built by someone who is like looking for what they want out of the format, basically.
Yeah, people have tried Grixis before and it hasn't shaken out, but this looks like it has a better chance.
Right.
It's me.
It's you. So this is just like this is like a Rogue Flash Thunder Road hybrid, it looks like, since it's a Thunder Roads deck that's running like some actual mid-range creatures.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. What do you cut from Teamer Temple to fit the Thunder Roads package?
I don't know. I kind of put the Thunder Roads package in first and built the rest of Teamer around it.
Okay.
11 hits off Cane Dancer is lower than I would like personally. Like the fact that you don't have the fact that you're 4x Secrets of the Correlate Court instead of like, I don't know, any card advantage engine that works with Cane Dancer seems a little sus. But you have plenty of cheap removal, and you have Thunder Road, and you have like a solid go over the top package. Hard for me to be too low on this deck.
I was on 3 for a while, Cane Dancers, and then was like, I don't know, and I just put the 4th one in.
I think for me, this is like I think the changes you have made probably make this a worse deck into the open meta than Styles' list. But I think I'm pretty much in the same camp for that.
Oh, you're running Mabel in the board.
Oh, I missed Mabel.
yeah, 'cause-
you meet the conditions, so you may as well run it.
Yeah. And Kalila to soul read the little pig lists.
Oh yeah, well. So the funny thing is, so Backman confirmed plus shifting land right in the meta. I don't think anyone has ever matched to steal shifting land with Kalila, even though a bunch of people were running Kalila in the sideboard.
Yeah, I've been really disappointed with Kalila. I've just very rarely seen any game state where she matters. But look, if people keep playing her, eventually someone's going to get it right.
Yeah, eventually the stars will align and someone will be able to snag 2 lands with this thing.
I'm eventually going to see the point where someone flashes this in response to like something that makes a 5/5 dragon token. That's my prediction.
Actually, doesn't Killer steal bounty tokens? How come nobody has ever done that back?
I have actually seen
ever.
that happen.
Oh, okay.
But usually it's just one of those things like if you're having to cast bounty into their open mana, usually you're kind of fucked anyway. I don't know. It's
right.
I think the rug mirrors and like rug adjacent deck mirrors are just like some of the worst gameplay I've ever experienced in this format. So that's a reason that I don't play rug anymore.
It's kind of soul eroding, I will admit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, remember back when when I made that confirm
Yeah, I actually
mirror bingo? Yeah. Well, I'll give you 3 chili peppers for making a Team of Temple deck that's slightly spicier than usual.
Okay, so
so-
Petra is on a. This is just the Purple Murasaki Reanimator list, right?
Do they prefer to go by Petra?
Yeah.
I will amend that.
This deck was fine, right? This deck has performed. It has a history
Yeah.
of doing powerful things.
But did it perform because it's good or because Purple was piloting it?
Probably a combination. Like I think Purple is a good player, but I think Purple is a better deck builder than they are a player. Like I think there are a lot of really bad decks in the format that if you handed them to Purple wouldn't suddenly win the GP with them. And I think most of the bust decks Purple plays, if you hand them to other people also perform with them,
Including me.
including you, which was not the case when I tried handing you Rug Tempo. So clearly there's something here.
I think
Yeah.
Ricky and Purple are just on some weird fucked up like wavelength.
Drift compatible.
Yeah, drift compatible.
I actually think this deck is in a better spot than the past couple times that Purple's run it, because look at how few Cosmic Sinkholes there are this GP compared to the last one. This deck feels so much better when your opponents don't always have a Cosmic Sinkhole, and it can beat most like normal amounts of interaction. So
I don't think I would be able to play in this format if I didn't have 4 Cosmic Sinkhole every GP.
I think this deck is like, I think it's either a 6 or a 7 for me, because it goes over the top of all of the mid-range decks we've seen so far, and a lot of the control decks don't have good interaction into it. So I'm going to throw a 7. I think this is like probably my pick for the strongest deck that I've seen so far.
Unfortunately, Peppers because it's a Purple Murasaki deck. That seems kind of interesting. Scribble says in chat, "Hey Rick, you should try Pip's Rug Tempo."
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the story there, when Ricky first joined the format, was like, hey, does anyone have a deck I can play just before the GP? And I was like, yeah, this Rug Tempo deck I've played has been absolutely broken. I'm like 9-1 with it. And I in fact did play it and got top 8 that GP. Like it was broken. And Ricky went 0-4 in Swiss.
Remember, I didn't play any games of
Yeah.
MSEM before my first game of the GP.
You missed a moment where Dodger was literally at 6 HP. You had 2 bolts in hand, and you just killed his creatures.
Did I do? Yes.
It did not go that well. All right, Draw Knight is also a fairly new player, correct? Am I misremembering?
Yeah, fairly new, but like they have played before.
Yeah,
They
what are-
joined
previous GPs.
Did they
in
get a...
between this GP and the last one, but I
Gotcha.
don't think it was like.
Oh, no, I think they were in the last one, right? Because I remember seeing Plasma Addict, and I don't think we have 2 Plasma Addict aficionados in the format.
Plasma Addict.
Oh wait, I remember this deck
Yeah, it's
from
not
last
that.
GP. It's
It
like
doesn't
that
look-
that's running way too many colors with 20
lands.
band command and endless helpless souls
And 20
Yeah, I mean,
lands.
I
and
think
Plasma Addict and Avatar Basat.
I would love to understand the logic that makes you build this deck.
Try it in chat, so maybe they can explain.
It does have a 3rd GP.
It's-
My apologies, by the way. I am kind of out of the loop in terms of GPs I'm playing. I mean, this deck is running a lot of hits for Cane Dancer, so big props there. Endless Helpless Souls isn't actually particularly bad in this deck. Like, I think this deck is actually pretty reasonable in all the cards it's running. I just wish it had more lands in it, and I would probably just cut the 2 bank commands for that. But yeah, I think this deck can probably trounce a lot of people. I like some of the card choices that are here in terms
Really?
of
What's the 2 Avatar Basats for?
you can aggro people to death. People can die when they are killed.
Okay,
like,
but why
unironically,
Avatar
you go-
Basat specifically?
I could be any turn 1 threat, but I think Avatar Basalt is probably like in the top half of them. Like I don't know what 1-drop threat I would run rather than Avatar
Shooter?
Basalt if you're like I don't think I would run Suitor in it. I mean, Avatar Passat also can't block, so that's kind of an L. But like, I think you want something that is mildly evasive. I don't
Right.
know. It's also running 4 Panyas. I might run 3 Panyas. I don't know. I think the like basic concept of this deck is good. Like I have numbers issues with it, but the more I look at it and think about it, the more I like generally agree with the ethos of it.
Also, it's running diffuse for some reason instead of I don't know, literally any of the other soft counter.
I mean, it's running
20.
4 Cursory Glance and 4 Portal Fracture. Like the 4 Diffuse are clearly like the tertiary thing it has going on here.
22 counter spells in the 75.
That
Shouldn't you
is
be running Cosmic Cinco instead of diffuse? Like I feel like that's better than diffuse.
that does put you down on Cane Dancer hits in a kind of
Yeah.
obnoxious way.
I guess, but okay, yeah, it could. No, you already have enough Cane Dancer hits. Like you have 12 Cane Dancer hits. That's usually the amount
12
that Gamer
12 is
Tempo
like-
runs.
12 is the baseline. I personally think 14 is like the correct amount, but I might be a stickler on that front.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I think the basic premise of this deck is good. I think there's a couple rough edges, but hey, eventually it's got to work.
I'll give it 4 chili peppers because
Yeah, I'm inclined to do the same. Like it is a deck where I was like, what the fuck is going on? But the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, actually, I think this deck is fine. So
Cyber asked in chat, why is nobody playing rail lines in their EHS decks? Probably
wow,
because
that's fucking sick.
Wait, really?
Right? Because they're lands you can ramp off of EHS.
I guess, but now you're dilating your aggro deck with mana rocks.
Just don't put them in the aggro builds. Put them in the mid-range ones. And now you can justify running more like Zealot type lands that have utility when you pick them back up and play them again.
Oh yeah, I guess that works.
Simply don't draw the wrong half.
El
Makino is on
oh god.
this.
I will never forget the moment of El Makino dropping a like 20-minute video into council chat saying, guys, we should do something about this list. And it just showed him comboing off in the most effort-intensive way I have seen in this format. Of just like moving cards up and down and up and down and up and down and in and out. And it's so
I feel like we haven't seen a Dreamsight Minister 8-sack.
I genuinely think
the Minister combo.
I think the effort this deck goes through is more obnoxious than Dreamsight like chains. Genuinely.
Well, no, Backup Minister was in deck. You had to go through a 30-card chain that like you like the
sure, but you didn't.
That isn't even obvious. Like, and you can mess up any time and just screw yourself.
Most of the time, you could just like say, okay, here's my board of stupid idiots. You're mostly dead past the turn. Like, yes, sometimes you would go through the extra mile and kill them, but like most time you didn't need to do that. Whereas with this deck only works if you like fucking YOLO it.
Right.
It's also this mana base of using Crumbling Vestige and bouncing it repeatedly with the rail lines is so funny. I also just want to give a huge shout out to Coveted Heirloom, which is designed by the one and only CFT Sock. For anyone who follows Canon Magic, you might recognize this name. It's someone who used to be a very active MSEM player and has several GP wins under their belt. Their name stands for Combo for the Sake of Combo. And they have then switched to like winning MTGO tournaments instead of MSEM ones.
Yeah, I feel like that's better EV for them, all things considered.
I think there's a good chance.
What do we call this deck?
Blessing of
Raya combo.
Yeah, this still gets 5 peppers from me in terms of spiciness. I think this is like a 7 deck. I think there's a lot of matchups where you can hit, and there's a lot of people who didn't prepare for this deck, straight up.
Yeah.
I always prepare for decks like this. There's a lot of people who just kind of hope they dodge them, and I think this is not a deck that you beat if you're planning on dodging it. Like, if you hit this deck, you can't be like, okay, well, you know, I have like some sideboard hate, maybe I steal a game 1. I think you're probably just going to get run over.
I have zero clue how this deck wins.
Are you still on
It's Observer
deck
of,
right now?
Yeah, El Makino's deck just kills you with Observer of Aeons.
Basically, you mill your entire deck, and with Blessing of Roy,
yeah, you recur a Observer, you recur a Cinder, Blade, and you swing. I will note, this deck, I believe, is in a very awkward spot where it is not a deterministic kill. So
just like Storm.
It can't be shortcut. It has to play it out. Thankfully, the game does eventually reach an end state. Either you win or you don't, but you do need to play it out. And I think it's one of the decks where it is ambiguous in paper whether or not you would get a slow play warning.
So I mean, I don't think you reset the game state though, right?
No, you never reset the game state, so that really helps it avoid that. But it's just like, it can be
Because your
very
life keeps
fiddly.
going up.
Is my main point.
Alright, anyways, enough about El Makino's deck. Moving on. Epid's on Casino Scam.
Yeah, poison casino scam.
Uh,
Who was it? Purple who added the poison package to Casino Scam, or was it Epid?
it's purple. Epid got the deck from purple.
I think Casino Scam is a sweet deck. I am very excited anytime I see it.
And-
Like do things. I think the poison package is fine. I prefer the control package, but I think sometimes you just win games off the back of Infectious Ego, and that's pretty cool.
And also, it's purple who replaced a confirmed hypothesis with Weeping Lotus after the shifting land nerf.
Makes sense.
One chili pepper because I play against this deck enough times.
Yeah, I'm still giving it 3. I think in general, Casino Scam is like one of the most powerful combos / shells in the format that no one plays relative to its strength. So anytime someone's on it, I'm always like, woo.
So, anyways, moving on, I guess.
I spit it's the From the Forest Heart deck. Yeah, here we go.
Okay, it's this thing. I remember getting wrecked by this deck while I was playing Dreamside ATAC in League before it got nerfed. So if this deck can beat the GP winning deck for 2 GPs in a row, maybe they're onto something.
I mean, it's definitely doing things that are like especially powerful versus Dreamsight. But yeah, I think this deck is solid. I have no issue with it. I think From the Forest Heart is a really cool card, and I'm excited to see more people play it. Okay, and this deck has like all of the best utility lands in the format, which is good because you're playing a lot of lands. So I don't know. I'm high on this deck.
Yeah, it also has Children of the Clouds. It's not used. It's using the worst art for Children of the Clouds, though. So I have to give them a minus point for that.
It gets 5 peppers from me in terms of spiciness.
4 peppers, I guess. I'll get 5. I guess it's interesting.
I think it's also in a pretty powerful position. I think this is another 7 deck. I think it has the ability to go over the top of any of the control decks that I've seen this GP. I think there are control decks in general that can go over the top of this. Like, I think this deck probably has well, I don't know if it has a bad matchup versus Heart Attack, because this deck has a lot of counter magic.
It also literally just has Heart Attack with Harbs Athena.
Right, but it doesn't... So, Children of the
Blood Rain.
Clowns is a worse, like, win the game spell than the actual OG win con of Mastery of the Veil. It is a better card if you're casting for anything less than like 10, but Children of the Clowns, you don't really one-shot people with it. You just create unlosable board states. So, I don't know. I think that is a distinction. Whoa! Ren is playing? What the fuck? Oh,
What?
okay. Marina shipped Ren a black-red aggro list right at the right before. This is cool.
It was a
Here
little
was
after
you.
cutoff, but
Yeah.
Time Spiral fell asleep, I think.
So,
I was
don't-
falling asleep.
Here with you without Advocate feels a little bit loose to me. But I think this deck is sweet. I like how many 1-drops it's playing. I think Bloodvenge Berserker's a cool card to see play. I think this card's probably better than the amount of play it indicates. I think Searing Grace is kind of sus in a deck where you only have 6 fetch lands to enable it. Sorry, 8 fetch lands? I guess that helps. I guess this is probably fine.
Yeah, I guess that. Wait, 20 more. One here with you in the sideboard too. I guess they just really want to go all in on here with you plan.
What is once Scarred hitting in the format that matters?
I was about to say Rini, but I'm just super in the past right now. It kills Infectious Ego. It kills, I guess, Profane Emissary, I guess.
4 damage is a good number, but it's probably better off just being Obscuriate.
Yeah.
I think if you want a 2-mana spell that kills Profane Emissary Obscuriate, it's better. I don't know if that's the angle you want. I don't know. I think this deck's probably solid. And I trust Pinata for most burn stuff. But the sideboard just like has a couple things I would tweak. But yep. And Marina is on the same list. So same amounts of points.
Yeah.
I think
Wait,
both people.
exactly.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think
Interesting.
I think this deck is going to be very sad if it hits Datacorn's deck. Like, I don't know. There's just a couple decks this GP that like can put a Profane Emissary in front of its creatures, or gain 7 life, or like do any of these sorts of things that just make burn decks very sad.
So Giant Poet says in chat that they're not running Obscurity because it ramps the opponent.
I suppose that's fair if your opponent's stabilization is based around them like hitting 4 or 5 mana or whatever. But I think
I mean,
if you're
that's
specifically tagging their like, 4 mana 4/4, that's usually the top of their curve.
well, if you're taking the 2 mana 4/4, then that's
Sorry, 2 mana
definitely
4.
not
So I guess it depends on whether you're hitting a profane emissary versus a infectious ego. But
hitting
like
hitting the profanatory ramps opponent into infectious ego.
that's true. But it also does give them a 1 damage turn. So
Not if infectious ego comes down.
not if infectious ego comes down.
Anyways, moving on.
Hersey is on the same list as Cyber, it looks like.
No, wait, is it the exact same list?
I assume so.
Oh, it is. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cyber didn't take the Purple Misaki list. They took.
Or Hersey took the purple Murasaki list.
No, this is Hersey's list. Purple Misaki's little pig list had way less revelations for one.
I see.
They weren't running main deck standalone syllables.
Okay.
So let me just copy everything down.
Hitster is on. Oh, this is the from the Forest Tart deck. So yeah, same ranking we gave to Espethel.
What do you think will happen if they get the mirror match?
If I was in that circumstance, I would kill myself.
I agree. Good thing I'm not recording anymore.
Do
Yeah,
not put me in a situation.
never even once. Big props to Hitster for exploring this from the Forest Heart shell in general. It seems really powerful, and I was kind of low on it. So definitely give a shout out there because I am very happy to see how wrong I was.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways, moving on.
RickyRister. So true.
Oh,
Man, you're really speaking
So
truth to power here.
yeah.
Blue green ramp.
So the reason, Purple Misaki gave me this list one day before GP. I was basically I asked Purple Misaki for a new deck because all the decks that I've played so far got nerfed or banned. So I was asking them if they had a deck for me that featured a card that they wanted to get hit because that's what usually happens when I play a deck that they give me. So that's what they gave me. I don't know what
Is it
what
RFE?
card they're trying to hit here.
It has
But
to be RFE, right? Purple Murasaki hates Recall Forgotten Aeons.
Scribbles pensiving in the chat.
yeah. So I think the plan here is that you stack all of your enchantments onto one land. And also I learned recently that Pronouncer Preserves gives you a token even if you enchant an already enchanted land.
Ricky,
So
I wish you a very happy death in reverse. I don't think it's going to happen this GP, but I really hope
I don't know.
that
I play
happens
against
pretty
Purple
soon.
in League, and the Artificer skipped out ahead of Oko and killed my land that had 4 enchantments on it, and I was really sad.
I mean,
and
and
it was-
it has recoil. You might get recoil this GP.
And also that was after I played Chart the Vast and got like 7 cards off of it, so it looked like it was winning, and then suddenly I was losing.
I am surprised Chart the Vast draws you that many cards in this deck. This deck does not have as many like unique mana values as
It used to have
other ones.
Conjure Realities, but then it got cut because Conjure doesn't fetch Planeswalkers for some reason, and doesn't fetch enchantments for some reason either.
Yeah, you have like a lot of ones. You have like a couple twos. You have a lot of threes. Like I don't know. I believe that Chart is usually I draw like 3 or 4 cards. I'm just shocked it's drawing like more than that.
It's like draw around 4 to 5, like usually.
I mean, the other thing I would say is I want the 4th stand unassailable because I always want the 4th stand unassailable.
I don't like Sound Unassailable because it doesn't do enough against enough against aggro decks. It's only good against burn.
I agree that it doesn't do enough against aggro decks if you don't have like anything else to back it up, but you have like
Well,
actual creatures you can put in front of it.
You're also ramping like hell.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
also like cast the 7 mana mode very reliably. I don't know. I
Hey,
also
Purple, you're in
recognize
chat. Can you like go into the spreadsheet and start putting your thoughts or putting stuff in the notes column?
I
Thanks.
also recognize that Purple in general thinks Bessie's Brood is better versus aggro decks / burn than stand on a
That was pretty nerf Bessie's Brood, right? Bill?
Yeah, but it's not like Bessie's Brood's -1 toughness matters versus all of aggro's 2 power creatures. It just matters versus the 3 power ones.
Yeah.
Like it matters versus like hounds and stuff, but it's still like probably as a 2-for-1 and a good 2-for-1 at that. But I don't know. I think this deck is probably good. I think it's
I mean,
reasonably.
it's a Purple
spicy.
Saki deck, so
There's
clearly.
only so bad it can be. Yeah, true.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Purple Saki. Oh,
Hello.
it's Wizardia. It's not purple.
Hello.
I thought it
This
was
is the
purple.
boop boop.
All right, you can join in for the last part, I guess. You don't have a spiciness column, but you can just add one yourself. Standard's better versus burn. Logger plus brood was just generally enough versus burn stuff. Yeah, like Logger Recluse makes burn really sad too, because it blocks most stuff. It trades with stuff if you have mana.
Yeah, I believe that. My experiences are very far from the universe. All right, Scribble is trying to do a thing.
Mud.
Does your website? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'm excited about the 4 copies of Gate of Realms. Gate of Realms was one of the deepest Gate of Realms piles I have seen in a while. Love to see people getting hit by Time Worn Crags and Perilous Passages. The deck can play a Sandswept Bazaar and then play it again. It has a bunch of land-based win cons. I don't know. I want this deck to be good very badly. I have no real faith that it will be good, but I want it to be good.
The Isbarons is
Yeah, this card is some
one of the cards of all time.
This card is some tech. Sovereign Skies is also pretty cool. I like how it's being used as a way of having a mana rock that you can use to ramp into Void Life orbs without blowing up your Sovereign Skies.
Amazing. I'm gonna give you this thing.
I want to believe in this deck. This deck gets 5 peppers from me.
Only 3 peppers from me though, because I don't.
I
don't like mono-colorless decks.
This deck's goofy. 5.
You can use Gate of Realms to fetch up a Jade Temple, which you can use to more cheaply activate Gate of Realms.
Holy crap! You can do that.
Combo alert.
Wombo combo.
Anyways, moving on. Splash Cat's playing.
Yeah.
The same dragon deck as the last 2 seasons.
We are always happy to see the Hatsuo's maneuver breath combo deck. We are always happy to see the Sophia Profane Emissary deck. This deck just is a meta pile, and I love it.
Is there enough aggro for this deck to beat up this GP?
Oh, also it has Ash of the Winged Steed. I forgot that it has that.
Yeah, that was just.
Ash of the Winged Steed is horrible in the deck. It's kind of cast.
It's free. That's why you're running it.
It's free, but you can't cast it ever. So you just never bring it in.
A lot of red sources.
You have a lot of red sources because Cloud Expires is 7 red sources in a way.
3, 4.
And you also have that one that adds double red. You can cast Emissary, but Emissary is really good, and Ash has the same mana, almost the same magic, and doesn't do a lot.
You have 16 red sources. That means that
the card's not very good.
That means that you are probably never casting Ash on curve. You are usually going to be casting Ash on turn 4.
Well, I did cast Emissary on turn 3, but there's a difference between Emissary on turn 3 and Ash on turn 3.
Audio balance, because when it's a bit loud.
Oh, my bad.
Turn down Wizards on Discord. You can stop.
This better?
No, I think it's something that I'll do. One moment. Alright. Apologies. Thanks, people, for giving that a shout out.
Cyber's in the Discord chat.
I missed Cloud Peak Spires in terms of how that would impact the mana base. So
it's probably not playable outside of EDH. Is it about Gate of Realms?
Sky Sovereign.
Skies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This card doesn't seem like it does much in this deck, unfortunately.
I assume Sovereign Skies is mostly being played because we don't have Darksteel Ingot. I think if we had Darksteel Ingot, this deck would be on Darksteel Ingot, which is not meant to be a compliment.
Can we just play Mana Rock for 2?
The issue
it has to be indestructible.
Yeah, you don't want to Void Life Orbs it.
Because you have Void Life Orbs for some reason.
Well, I guess it also blows up your Hub of Innovation and Gate of Realms and whatnot. It's kind of weird.
Okay, so in terms of In League with Dragons, I basically will always be rooting for this meta pile nonsense. It's also running the correct Valdez art.
Yes, the correct Valdez art.
Well, you're making Styles really sad now.
Oh, that's true. Styles' Valdez art is really fucking good. This one just has a cute raccoon.
Game at this point?
I mean, you can just run a split.
Yeah, okay. I would actually honor the split of that. That is one of the few splits I would honor. This deck is good. I think it's pretty well positioned, but there's not actually a lot of aggro. There's a couple aggro decks for it to beat up on. How well does it typically do versus Tropic Thunder?
I have no idea.
I don't think it's good against Tropic Thunder. I mean, it can win in some scenarios, but
It's not
Those
favored.
step out mid-range decks just really don't like playing against cursor glance and whatnot.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess you have like a lot of hand attack
Yeah, it has like 11 disco spells, so that's why I think it's kind
and a
of
lot of
okay.
cheap threats. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I'm pretty
like,
high
it
on.
could work.
I think I'm pretty high
I
on your
think
matchup.
like my
though.
experience was when I played against like a deck similar to Thunder, like the Bent control deck. I was like, oh, well, this hand probably wins if they don't have a newbie, and then they had a newbie and they lost. But it kind of like it can win. It's not like in not like bad mid-range decks that just can't win against Thunder.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Squid Pizza's deck. This is a Mystery of the Crash Craft, Parrot Pools, Endless Helpless Souls deck.
They're trying to make this thing work again.
Yeah,
Oh.
It's gold Garth.
it has Garth. It has Thunder Road with very few ways of actually casting Thunder Road like reliably enabled on turn 5. But its mana base is like pretty fucking solid. Although
Yeah, I do love playing Channeling Stone when I have 8 sorceries and 8 enchantments.
the deck also only has 8.
The
It only has
One thing I do
9
like is they
9 red
they
sources.
no longer play Unjust Sentence, which was kind of like a really bad card.
Okay, this deck does not have enough red sources to cast Mystery of the Crashcraft on 1 reliably, even if you were planning on putting Channeling Stones on enchantment every game, which I hope to God you're not. So,
Well, if you do, you have 13 red sources.
right, which is 1 fewer than the amount you need to reliably cast
I
it
mean,
on
13
one.
is fine. Like, it's like 88% or
Yeah.
85%.
But
Like,
You're running Garth too.
You're not. Yeah, I think this
yeah,
deck's
how
mana
does
base
that
is a
card
little bit of a
Garth?
crime.
Like, you can't put Channeling Stone on guard, you can't put shit Gender Sanctuary.
Yes, you're -8 Garth sources, but you can power play Garth. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish Squid Pizza this the best, but this mana base makes me want to like not watch any games that involve it because it would just
ever
One
ever
chili
since
pepper.
Mana Confluence left the format, it's been hard for the 5-color gamers.
Yeah.
Well, no,
And
no,
you
only
actually
kinda
the 5
tried.
color control.
that's intentional.
It's been easy for 5 color control gamers. It's just the aggro guys are suffering, and
Yeah,
the
it turns
non-legend
out if you're
aggro
okay with
guys.
your lands like entering the
I actually
battlefield
tried to
tapped
build,
on
like-
occasion, you get to have better mana. Fucked up how that works. Recreator of Myths. Hell yeah, there we go.
Recreator of Myths? Oh, you got
Yeah.
my Hellies.
Yeah, this deck is another kind of like deck that just feels like a meta pile. Like it's just a bunch of good stuff, but it has so many cool and powerful 2-drops. It has like a bunch of threats. It's a Lord Ricard Dawson deck with like a medium amount of artifacts. I don't know. I
There's
want
like
to
16 artifacts because we have globes, and then 12 like pay up makes treasures, and like 8 things
Oh,
make
right,
clues.
and you can sacrifice the ready for anything. All right, okay.
I get like clues, so that's
Yeah.
like why I think it works.
All right, yeah, no, I buy that, and especially because like Ricard Dawson can fuel himself too.
Yeah.
I think the Ares Pillar is a little bit ambitious in this mana base.
Yeah, it could be. It definitely
And-
could be.
Not super worth it, but
Like I just felt like I don't really have a lot of win conditions. Like if I don't draw Inish to,
Yeah.
I can't win. But
I
maybe it's wrong.
I hate having to play a tapped island that also requires blue to activate in this deck.
Oh
That's
right,
like,
it requires double blue. I forgot. I mean, it's fine. I have globes. I will be fine. I will be fine.
yeah, no, your mana base is probably rock solid because of Globe. Like Globe is like the
Globe's just a really good card. Yeah.
you know the meme where it's like a large tank of something that's like about to spill and the guy just like slaps a sticker on it. It's like awful mana bases and just Globe.
Oh yeah.
Hot
What?
take: I really like this Globe art over the Alara one.
Thank you. I think the Lara one's pretty great. What's Sunder history? Oh, that's
The
neat.
card is really good.
Yeah, that feels really good if you do it.
Like there was one problem that it is a sorcery, so like it's actually pretty bad. But I still like my cyber card is drawing stuff. It's kind of really nice.
All right.
I can actually I can target my own Terraformer's globe to draw a card. How's that?
There we go. Now we've generated value. All right. I give this deck 5 chili peppers just because I'm always excited to see like I don't know. This deck features a lot of cards I always like seeing, and
2
it's
chili
managed to
peppers.
shove them all together.
I do
which I'm
not
always
like
excited about.
value pile control decks.
Yes, that is the distinct difference, TBH. Alright, and Zhang Yi. Oh, this is aggressively off-brand, I would argue.
Maze Collection Thunder Road?
I mean, that's not the most insane thing in the world, right?
Yeah, it's not insane, I guess. My collection does actually trigger Thunder Road, so that's kind of cool.
Unrelenting seems awful in this deck. It fetches Bant commands and Raw, and that's it. That's not good.
That's true. I mean, I think it's just, like, the elemental mode is, I guess, alright.
No, I...
Just kidding.
I have cast a lot...
this card doesn't do anything.
I have cast a lot of Unrelentings and a lot of Maze Collections. I think if your deck is not a good Unrelenting deck, it's not a good Maze Collection deck. And I think if your deck doesn't have, like, at least 2 go-over-the-top sorts of cards in your Unrelenting package, you shouldn't be on Unrelenting.
Also, it's not running a single copy of Slippery Unip, which I feel like is a card that you should run if you run Unrelenting, because it's basically a negate that you can fetch off Unrelenting.
Yeah, but it sucks. Like, I would much rather... There are definitely counterspells that I think are better in that slot.
But you can't fetch it off Unrelenting, can you?
Yeah, no. There are still counterspells that I think are better in the slot of, like, a 4-mana counter that generates value or something. Like, I don't think the gameplay pattern of Unrelenting and I have exactly 2 mana up for interaction spell, like, I don't think that comes up a meaningful amount. Yeah. And I think
I feel like it has come up when Purposaki ran their Maze Collection deck.
Right, and when I ran my Maze Collection deck, it didn't come up, so I don't know what to say. Both of us got, like, a similar depth into the tournament.
There's, like, a bunch of weird choices I have here. So the deck only has 2 bounty, which is, like,
2 bounties,
Like, the deck also doesn't have any main deck Cane Dancers, which is, like, the second best card in the deck.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zangy. I don't think your deck building makes any sense here.
Then, like, there is this Confirmed Hypothesis, which I think doesn't have enough targets. Like, there is 4 Reaches. No, Reach is not a target. There is 4 Flooded Depths, and the one with Earth Shrine. And one shifting is good, so there are 6 targets for it.
I mean, can you confirm Maze Collection?
You can confirm it to draw an extra
card.
card. But you can also, if you have 7 mana, you can confirm a Thunder Road augmented trigger.
Nice.
Get another 6 damage off of it. The numbers in this deck don't make a lot of sense to me. Like, if you could find Thunder Road with Unrelenting, I would be super in favor of this merging of archetypes.
Yeah, I agree.
But, like, if you're going to be on Unrelenting, like, just throw a single Rock Roll into that main deck and just kill people. Like, Rock Roll is big bounty of the gods.
It's a really okay card.
Yeah.
With health, right?
Yeah, I have...
It's like 4 mana find to lands, right?
Yeah.
That's, like, not awful, I guess.
But the 6 mana, here's my, like, 21 power, go.
Yeah.
Is just so obnoxious to beat in a control mirror or, like, in any, like, slow decks versus each other, because it's like, well, I don't want to keep in my, like, sweepers versus your deck, but if you have one card that can instantly, like, produce 21 power out of nowhere, that's kind of hard to beat in a 1-for-1 war, unless you counter it.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to give it, like, a high amount of peppers because I think it's fusing 2 ideas, but I think it's doing so, like, in an ill-advised way. It's like, if I walked up to someone... You know what? It's a very similar vibes, but worse, to Yorion Rhinos, where it's like, okay, this is a powerful strategy that you are putting another powerful strategy alongside, but I just don't think this deck, like, gets that last distance of, and it makes the deck stronger.
Yeah, yes. You know, it's like putting a Yorion into your Storm deck. Like, Storm's powerful and Yorion's powerful, but they don't do anything together. I don't know.
I think this is like a 4 because I think everything that makes the other Tropic Thunder decks good, this deck, like, is just kind of missing. So I do not like Zangi's odds here.
Yeah.
2 chili peppers. I do not like Thunder Rolls. I do not like Maze Collection.
Also,
you have nothing but hate in your heart, Ricky.
I feel like
I have nothing but hate in my heart after Dreamsight 8-sack got absolutely burned to the ground.
I feel like there's a Berenstain Bears effect with Thunder Road, because it's Thunder Road singular. It's a reference to the Bruce Springsteen song Thunder Road, but everyone pluralizes it and makes it into a reference to, like, country roads, and I don't know how this canon divergence point happened, but it clearly did.
Thunder
Thank you, curators, for
Road off the tongue a little bit better, in my opinion.
Scribble, you're gonna pay for that.
Scribble,
just reading the comments.
We're actually council members. Curators refers to the Revolution group. It's only Thunder Road if you're not augmented. True. Thunder Road in singular. I think Ren was the one who did the Take Me Home, but I'm not certain. It was either Ren or Sai. I don't think it was Hersey, but I definitely think there was a canon divergence point there. Okay, it was allegedly Sai.
All right, and I think that's everything. How long did that take?
Like 1 hour or something.
Only 1 hour. Wow, that's
I run them pretty
surprisingly low. Yeah, and it's 26 people too. So it turns out when Purple Saki's not in chat, then everything goes along quite smoothly.
Yeah, shout out to back when the set reviews used to be Dodger, Caillou, and myself, and Dodger and myself would just like stun lock each other for like 20 minutes talking about cards that didn't matter.
See nowadays, the set reviews are done by me and Purple, and we also do stuff like that, except it's all edited out, so you don't see it in the final cut, which actually kind of sucks for me because I'm the one who has to do the editing. Or actually, no, me and Purple are the one that. Purple sometimes helps me with the editing by cutting out some of the stuff we talk about, but yeah.
Subtle distinctions. All right, thank you everyone for joining, and I hope everyone has an awesome GP.
Yeah.
Tip your wait staff.